Hi, Tim Clark, the End Times Matrix News, coming to you live again on this March the 13th, one day before Pi Day. Pi Day is a very 3.14 day out to the 10th digits day tomorrow, and it won't happen again until 100 years from now. So we're continuing with our Cern Mania series since everybody has really got Cern fever now. And we're going to do one show today, and then we're going to do another show this weekend with Anthony Patch, specifically on CERN. And so we're going to do today's show is called Stairway to Hell, Horn God CERN. And Chris has plenty of interesting stuff today. So this is going to be a 1 hour show, and then we'll come back later on this weekend with Anthony Patch for an hour. And we'll talk about a very specific issue that will be some more groundbreaking stuff that other people haven't covered yet. So we have Chris with End Times Matrix, and she's going to take it away and give us some mind-blowing slide presentation here. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm going to be showing some information about CERN and some things that I connected with the ancient history and the Milky Way, which is the Rainbow Bridge. And you'll have to forgive me that I'm getting over a cold. Let me make sure that I click my box here. Here we go. So today I wanted to go over the Horn God and how that connects with the Milky Way and CERN. I did this presentation today with a lot of things that I need to I condensed so much information, but what I wanted to do was go over the Milky Way is the Nile in the sky. It's the Rainbow Bridge. Some people call it the city in the sky. It's a spiral galaxy, and we're actually a tiny little dot inside of this huge galaxy. So when we look at this Milky Way in the sky, we're looking at an arm of the Milky Way, just a little piece of it, because it's a spiral galaxy. One of the verses in Genesis is, "Then God said, let there be space between the waters to separate the waters of heaven from the waters of earth." There is a celestial realm in the sky, and the boat of Ra sailed on this Milky Way. Here's a picture of the Milky Way arm, and here is this is Nut. She's also Mut and Rhea, and she represents the Horn God. And so the Milky Way actually represents the Horn God, and I'll get into that in a minute here. But this actually resembles the Milky Way. Here's Nut. This is an actual artifact of her with the spiral galaxy on her stomach. She is the creator linked to the spiraling consciousness, according to the ancients. So she represents the womb or Aquarius, and here she is, Nut, and it's like, you know, the starry sky here, the starry Milky Way. That's what she represents. Here's another picture of her as a cow or a bull, the bull's horns. That's why you see Hathor wearing, she wears this uraeus, and she also wears the horns. Hathor is Mut also. Isis is many characters, and that's one of her characters. She also represents Nut, which is Rhea, which is Saturn's female counterpart. So this is the boat of Ra, and you see Ra, which is, he represents many deities in different languages, and I'll go over that too. But this is the boat, how it goes over the Milky Way, and it travels through all the 12 constellations, which actually there's 13, but in history it says, 12. Hathor with the goddess Nut was associated with the Milky Way. And the interesting thing is that during the fall and spring equinoxes, it aligned and touched the earth where the sun rose and fell. And the four legs of the celestial cow represented Nut, or Hathor, And so it's very interesting that this is connected with March, the equinox in March, and the equinox in September, which is the autumn equinoxes. So they did this with the Milky Way during the same exact time as we have the black South call sun, and in September at the end of the Shemitah. It's the same exact timeline. Also, when Cern is going to start the collider this month and also in September. Here is this is an ancient Egyptian artifact. It's a copy of an artifact, and here is the Milky Way, and here is the bull of Osiris and Nut, and it's a long story on that, but this is the star Sirius. So this represents the Milky Way in that, and this is Orion's belt, and I'm going to touch on that too some more. This is Khufu boat, his solar boat. I think it's possible there was more to this boat that wasn't put together, but it has, it's a huge boat, and it has a like a big house built on top of it. And it's made out of the same thing as I'm not saying it's Noah's boat, but it's made out of the same thing. Here's Khufu and here's El. I just think it's interesting that these statues kind of have the same gold in the clothing. His hat matches the one that that Minnie's wore and Namar, and also King Tut. El, this is the hat of Osiris that he's wearing. El is the father of Yaman-Mot and Hadad, which is Bel, and it's very possible that these may be the same too. I'm not sure, but I know that this hat that he wears, also King Tut wears that same style hat with just the snake before he merged with both DNA crossings when they did the DNA manipulation. Also, from Earth, the Milky Way appears as a band. It's a disc shape. It's a disc structure. And so when the pyramids along the Nile River, they represent the constellations on along the Milky Way. So I wanted to show that these three pyramids here are the Giza pyramids, and the stars are the belt of Orion, and they mean different things that are in the brain. Three things that are in the brain. Menkar and Khafre and Khufu are all related to each other. This is Khufu's pyramid, which is the Giza pyramid, and Khafre he has the second pyramid, and Menkar has the third. And this is a 369 that matches up with Orion's belt that is in the Milky Way constellation, or in the Milky Way where this constellation is there. And the Giza pyramid, Saturn represents the Giza pyramid, and Venus represents the middle pyramid, and the smaller pyramid represents Set. This is Menkar, and this is Khafre, and this is Khufu, and these are the three that represent these three pyramids. This is also Khufu with the skull cap and the snake on the front. This I wanted to show. This is the goddess Bat. She is before Horus, and she is on this artifact here with. She represents Hathor. This is Khufu's daughter, and this is his sister, and they're married to each other. And so this Bat god is very interesting because this connects to the Milky Way. This is the Milky Way. The cow represents the Milky Way. This is her name. That's why I didn't say it a while ago. It's so long. Cameronepti. Nepti name is very interesting. She represents the two ladies. This is her name in hieroglyphics, which is the two ladies. She represents Upper and Lower Egypt, and she also has the Aleph symbol. And here. Stag worship and the green man. This is interesting because most people that research, they understand that there's a lot of different deities, but they actually mean the same thing. Nimrod is here with a stag. This is Artemis. This is Apollo's female counterpart, and this is his stag. These are the green men. Osiris is a green deity. He was risen in the underworld. He was killed by Set and risen in the underworld. And he is the god that they worship as the eight. This is Cernunnos, and he's also representative of the green man and the stag. And if you look up Ululim, he is the first king over Eridu, and he is a stag god. And he was the first king in history. Here is the Baphomet he also represents. So Ptah, Osiris, and Khonsu represent the god of the bull over the Milky Way. And so do all of these gods. This is the Baphomet. The five-pointed star represents the elements. And he has a Hermes staff on his stomach, which represents the phallus and the two snakes. Nema was Tubal-Cain's sister. Tubal-Cain represents the resurrected Osiris in the underworld. And these two snakes, this snake and this snake, this represents Samael and Nema as one deity. And because they are one deity. And they also represent Ptah and four souls of Horus, and I'll show that in just a minute. But if we see these letters, we've gone over these in our shows before with the Shin and the Aleph and the Mem. And this is the Shin in the Kabbalah and the Aleph and the Mem. And I'm going to go over that too later, and then in another show I have some more information on that. But this is the Kabbalah tree, and this is what it represents. This is kind of like the Tower of Babel here, and so is the Milky Way, and what they're trying to reproduce with Cern. This is Tubal-Cain. This is Ptah, and he represents Tubal-Cain. The Freemasons refer to him as Tubal-Cain, and here he is as Amenhotep, or Imhotep. He also represents Jupiter and these deities. Here is Ra, Ammon, Thoth, and Khnum, which they call him the potter. And all gods, three are Ammon, Re, and Ptah. Re represents Thoth as the moon god. Here's the Ogdode, here's the eight frogs and the snakes, and these are the eight from the Ogdode. This was after the flood, and this was the resurrection of Saturn, or part of it. And these were the deities that took part in this, in the boat of Ra. Amon and Mut is the same as Ptah and Sekhmet, Upper and Lower Egypt. These are the same two deities as these two deities. They're exactly they represent, and they are exactly the same. And this is their son Dionysus, which is Khonsu. He has the side lock on his hair, but they're moon and sun deities. And here's another picture of the Ogdode, and here's kind of like the map of who they are and who the nine are that are worshipped quite a bit through the entertainment industry. So here is El as a generic word for God that could be used for any god, including Hadad, Moloch, or Yahweh. El also represents Saturn. In Ugarit text, Yam is the enemy of Hadad, and the king of heaven, the firstborn of El, which El represents Saturn and Enki. And so this is Yam. This is Poseidon. He represents the abyss. His children, these are his children. The most interesting are Belus and Agenor. They are twins, Castor and Pollux. And they are on the pillar of the boatman with Cernonus in the Celtic, one of the pillars that they have. So these are two twins here that are very interesting, that connect to all this. And this is Zeus. He represents Ptah and Ammon. And these are his children, and he represents Marduk. So this is the resurrected Saturn in Egypt. So when the Greeks took over and the Romans, they didn't want to have the same exact hieroglyphics and statues that Egypt had, so they built their own statues. That's why they look different, because of the time. I mean, these gods and goddesses, they lived in history for like 1,000 years, so things changed over time, and the appearances changed over time, and the names in different cultures, but they mean the same thing. This is Mot. He is the god of the underworld. He has 2 prongs on his staff. He is the ruler of the netherworld, and he is also represents Serapis and Osiris and Jupiter and Set. And these gods are part of the Apis bull. This is the Ka of Osiris. And so, you know, Re and Hermes represent the Ka and the Ba as the Ankh, as the ibis bird. It's kind of confusing because they do it through genetics and dark magic in order to, they did this in order to resurrect Saturn after the flood. This is the stag, and this is the Baphomet. This is Jupiter with his ram horns, and this is Ammon with his ram statue, showing that they represent all the same thing. This also represents Cernonus. And we've talked about Baphomet before, represents Isis and Horus as one deity. Well, Thoth and Isis as one deity as Horus. That's why it's male and female, because this is the resurrection of Saturn. And this is a horn god. This is just to show you it represents the bull, and like the Milky Way. And this is Namar on the Namar palette. And this is his plow, which is a leaf symbol. And so Osiris was actually a horned deity, depicted with the horns of a bull, and so was El. El is a bull god. And so the Egyptians thought that he was the incarnate. That's why they did the bull. When they buried them in tombs, and they did all these rituals and put their organs in certain things, and they did these really huge, expensive ceremonies for the bulls because of that. But here's one of the Egyptian flags, and the eagle looks a little different one on here, but these are the colors of alchemy that tie to the Nile River, as above and as below. And this is the Namar palette. You see, this is Bat, the bat goddess. She's also Hathor. And the silver gate is depicted in this palette. It also depicts the winter equinox. I guess that's how you say it. And it's in 3117 BC, and it actually was on December 25th then. Interesting, it represents the silver gate. Also, Banijabet was, I figured out she has the 4 faces here that represents this 4-faced, and he's wearing the Thoth hat and the Osiris hat. And Kunum is part of this deity, so there's 4 deities, Shu and Nut and Tefnut. These 4 deities represent when Saturn was ruling, and then when after the flood, these are the 4 sons of Horus. And so these 4 faces represents 4 souls, and the resurrection of Osiris. And so this is the bandage abet is the opposite of Kunum, and one of them represents upper and one of them represents lower Egypt. Here he is here that represents, like I said, these four souls. And so later, after the flood, he represented the the four sons of Horus. You're still there, Tim, right? Tim?
Yeah, I just muted it so that I wouldn't distract you.
Okay, sorry. I was just making sure you were there. One interesting thing that I wanted to point out is Ptah represents Horus, and in hieroglyphics, Ptah is written PTH. The word Hotep is reversal of this, which is HTP.
Wow.
And Ptah means divine spirit descending into matter, and Hotep is the return of that spirit into matter, into the source of origin. So they're opposite of each other. They're the same person. I'm Hotep and Ptah, but I'm Hotep is the reversal of that. So Tubal-Cain was related to Cain. So Cain was Osiris, and Tubal-Cain was the resurrection of Osiris into the underworld.
So are you saying Tubal-Cain is Imhotep, or is which way are you saying it?
Yeah, he's Ptah and I'm Hotep.
Okay. Interesting. I never knew that about the. I know because the Imhotep is very famous in the Hollywood movies with the mummy movies.
Yeah, it's you know they do these things with energy, and just like Cern, you know, and
yeah,
so
spiritual. It's kind of like spiritual science in the occult world. It's all the stuff that CERN's doing that we call science, they called magic back then, and it's a crossing over, and that's what people are picking up on with this CERN event that's going on right now, and you know they're doing some of this stuff is very strange to people. It looks like hard science is being conducted, and then all of a sudden you see strange rituals on the side going along with it. And it's a kind of a, I know the elites have talked, you've heard Hollywood and the elites talk about science and magic being the same thing. And they're showing it right now with these rituals that they're doing with their magic. And so it made me go, well, whatever happened to separation of, you know, of ritualistic Egyptian belief systems and the state. They talk about separation of church and state. Well, you know, what's this god called again? Cern what? What was the name of that? Yeah, this horn god that is derived from the shortened version of Cern. And so these guys, I'm really sick of them. Actually, I'm really sick of the whole NASA and the space programs and all these. They take all your money and they put their little idol worship on top of everything, and they stamp this spiritualistic idol worshiping garbage on everything that has to do with science. Like today, they sent up what was it, four spacecraft or they launched to basically monitor the CERN events as they turn on CERN. But they don't tell you that, you know, they don't tell you that. You got to put it together. And so they're doing their rituals to call on their fallen deities to come to this portal event sometime this year. When we're speculating September. Chris is laying out here the Egyptian history of these gods, and the as above, so below, and of course the Milky Way as a spiral, which looks exactly like a helical DNA, and you know, we're like a little chromosome on the DNA, you know. So it's fascinating. It's real. This is very helpful.
Yeah, I was going to show you here's Imhotep, and here he was like a doctor, and
Yeah, he's the
interesting.
Imhotep. He was like the physician, the magician. He's like supposedly, from what they said, the wisest. And they always portray him as being like the vizier to the pharaoh, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's four souls that are associated with him, and one of them is Thoth, which is Re, and then Ra, which is Marduk. And so he's also connected to Isis. See, she's on his back. They're one deity, actually. And so here she is as Inanna and Mari. This is her with the power box on her head, but this is the phallus hat. So this is what they worship, is the phallus and the hat. And here is this is the same symbol as the phallus here with the obelisk. And, obelisk are all over, and that's what they represent is, this is Horus, this star. And it also represents Cern. And here's Renana. She's on the phone outside of the White House. Doing some of
calling
Washington.
Imhotep? Was she calling Imhotep?
Yeah, she is. It says, Cirrus, let me in, and which, people are saying that she's calling Osiris, but here is the symbol of Cern on her shirt.
Amazing.
And here, see, it represents this gate here on the Kabbalah.
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
This is her tattoo. See her tattoo? She has an Isis. This is an Isis tattoo on her that she has, and this is her little Medusa thing going on. These are some of the...
She has a serpent eyes, too, which is also fun. If you look at her eyes, there's the slits.
This is some of the elite Blue Bloods, Cain's bloodline, and this is one of their parties. He has an owl on his hat, and this is the stag. She's very weird.
Well, you were showing that deity, and I can't remember which one it was, but he had a stag next to him. So I imagine that's who they're posing as, is the one deity with the stag next to him, the female.
Yeah.
They do this mixed gender stuff, though. This is the Kabbalistic mixing of yin-yang, Taoist yin-yang, feminine, masculine. It really makes a lot of sense to me looking at these people now, where this Gnostic belief system came from, the whole idea of the divine spark. And we see the all spark talked about in the movies with the Transformer movies, of the mixing of the male and the female, the positive and negative colliding together and creating a spark of divinity. And so this is really what the Gnostic philosophy, and that's what this is. This is all about the sex magic or sex alchemy, positive, negative, creating life from the connection of these two energies. And Cern is now colliding in opposite directions, which is kind of symbolic of the same thing.
Yeah. This is they're doing a ceremony here in London to the stag horns, and I just thought I'd show that picture.
Yeah, I wonder who wears horns. Who wears horns that we know about? Let's see.
Well, here's one picture of him.
There's a horn guy. Yeah. Good old Mala.
In the Bible, it says they believe, this isn't the quotation from the Bible, but Moloch is in the Bible. And they, in history, they thought that they were going to get money and finances if they would sacrifice their children. And that same thing, I believe, is going on today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's going on.
We proved it this week that it's going on today. Planned Parenthood is our modern-day Moloch, and we've seen reports out of InfoWars that they did a nice report on that the fetal material used from aborted babies is being used to grow organs. So there's your cash. The death of children brings wealth to those who profit off the death of children. There's your Moloch. It's an obvious connection.
And everybody knows probably by now this is the Bohemian Grove, and this is the owl that symbolizes that. So, just to point out, they worship horned figures: the stag, the owl, the horned snake, and so these are the bull and the ram. So they worship these animals through this nature type connection. And here's another owl, this is Inanna, which she represents Moloch as the female deity, and Minerva has the Mars hat on, so she represents the female deity of Mars. So they both actually are Isis. They both represent that deity, like Rhea, Isis. She has many faces, just like Satan has many faces as a male, and he has many faces as a female. Yeah. And so Minerva, these two represent the owl, Minerva. And so I was just showing this at Cern, that they have Atlas and Minerva. They always use these deities' names, and this is the British flag. It looks just like Renana's shirt. Mm-hmm. And here's Madonna wearing horns, and she's acting as the Baphomet here in one of her performances there. And here's all these, Justin Bieber got an owl tattoo. Here's Katy Perry with her owl dress and carrying an owl. There's the Pope, or the old Pope, doing the owl eyes. That's why they do the owl eyes.
Yeah, so they can throw up to sixes. Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's
the symbol is the 666. There's so many symbols that mean the same thing. This is Drake, and he got an owl tattoo. He wears an owl shirt a lot too. And here's Ptah as Vulcan. He has the hammer and the sickle. And Demeter and Ceres, they have the sickle too. And here's the flag. Here's China and Russia. Mm-hmm. And here's the plow with the sword. It all means the same thing: Jupiter, the hammer, and the sickle. And so here's the Sirius the Great wearing the hat that King Tut wore. And he represented the four corners of the earth when he was reigning as the king. And Persia, Iran, which is Iran now, they worship the same god. They worship, Marduk, Vulcan, the same god, So, here's a verse in the Bible. It says in Amos 5:26, Shun means Saturn, and it says, "And you carried your tent of your king and Saturn, your star god idols that you crafted for yourself." And so the Bible, constantly warned us not to worship the sun and the moon and the stars. And the Bible talks about Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and Orion. It talks about the constellations, and constantly, warns us not to worship these things, because it's just a trick of Satan. He wants to trick people into worshiping him, thinking they can evolve or connect to the supercomputer that they have. But it's kind of all I had today. I hope that.
It's really great. It's great stuff. It ties into where we're going with Cern. I think this actually helps people to understand the ritual nature of the scientific community. It's been one of my biggest aggravations, is dealing with all the symbolism within the scientific community, because science is always holding itself out there to be to hold itself up to a standard that says that we use the scientific method, blah, blah, blah. But they don't tell you about the inspiration. They don't tell you about folks like at MIT dropping DMT so that they can get inspiration from the spiritual realm, and so that they can, build whatever comes from the inspiration from the spiritual realm. So there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on within the science academic community, coming down hard on Christianity, like it's not scientific. And here they are, just like the Thule Society cut a deal with the satanic realm so that they can get the Vril maidens to download their demonic technology, and then everybody after World War II goes scrapping for this demonic technology. And now America is saturated throughout its government with this Nazi Thule demonic activity, that we cut deals with them. We gave them the blood sacrifice of our children. We've sacrificed our children to Moloch to gain wealth and fortune, and now we got judgment coming on us. And believe me, the United States is not going to escape judgment, because when it's at the end now where you just butcher children and you profit off their blood, there is no way out for a country that's going to profit off the blood of its children. And so we're doing blood sacrifice all over the place, and it's disgusting.
Well, no, people aren't going to hear it on the news, so they. But a lot of people understand that there's drug trafficking and child trafficking, and there is sacrifices. And these Egyptian gods were cannibals, and they did blood sacrifices. And those are the things that is hidden from, the mainstream and the public, that this is something that people understand it based on how the Vatican distributes it, or how, people distribute it out, the elite. So they don't understand. But Jesus is God. He is not Yahweh, and he is not any of these other gods that the Kabbalah and this new religion is what they want everybody to worship. And this is what it's all about. So, this...
And the Christian community has compromised itself. It has bowed to the wishes of the 501c3. It does not want to hurt its pocketbook by taking stands on things. But, like when we heard that they're growing organs from fetal material, did you hear an outcry from anybody about that? No. And it's like, since country and the Christian community won't stand up and demand that these whoever's profiting off of it gets shut down and put them out of business intentionally from being, they're no better than Joseph Mengele people. You understand? Everybody who sits here and talks about Nazis of World War II and Joseph Mengele doing experiments on the twins in the concentration camps and all this kind of stuff. But we cut deals with Joseph Mengele to come and work for us with the MK Ultra and everything else. So if you want to cut a deal with Satan because somebody else is going to cut a deal with Satan, well, then you got to pay the price. And America's in the process of paying the price. And, judgment is coming down on us. And Cern is part of that judgment. And you will see they're going to start their experimentation here. They're going to start powering up Cern here over the next few days, doing their workups. And I guarantee you that is why we have those satellites launched into orbit to measure the ionosphere. And that's very much connected to the September big shot that's going to happen. And, of course, we'll get into that more in depth. But, the regular public is oblivious. We're talking about manufactured crises like Ferguson, where, George Soros, all you got to do is go find George Soros and you'll find the culprit of Ferguson, the guy who pays money for people to revolt, But they got us wasting our time on these events when everything should be focused on these maniacs trying to destroy physics, as they say in their own words. They're trying to break physics, aren't they? And what good comes out of breaking physics? Well, it's a dimensional collapse is what they're basically trying to do. And that's what I see happening with this Cern event. Oh, we're getting that echo again. Chris?
That's not good. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to have to wrap. We're going to have that echo in there.
Okay. We'll do my next presentation on the next show.
Okay.
Too bad we had to get the echo. I wanted to go over some things to show the how the series and the plowshare and those things tie into these things too. But we'll go over that next time.
Well, I can mute my mic so we don't get an echo. And because you're not echo. If you want to do it.
Okay. Why don't we just stop and we'll just do it next time?
Okay.
Because I've already established. Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll have to pick up on the next show, and hopefully when Anthony gets his technical issue fixed, we can connect with Anthony and go over that fascinating information that he has on Cern. So hopefully we'll get to do that tomorrow. But thanks for everybody for watching. Have a good day.